Well, hello there, everybody. This is Dale from the Precept classes in Coleman, Alabama, and I thank you for continuing with us as we are examining right now 2 Kings. And this is an amazing story right here. We saw the beginning of it yesterday, and remember what the Lord had said was at this time tomorrow that this city that had been besieged and that was literally eating their children would have plentiful and cheap food. Okay, that was the promise. How is this going to come about? Well, we see in this account right here that it literally is communicated by four lepers. Yep, four lepers. So here's what's happening. There's these four lepers that lived outside the city gate. They're not allowed in the city. And they said, well, if we try to go in, we're going to die because there's no food. If we stay here, we're going to die. We might as well go to the enemy camp and see if they'll give us some food. If we live, we live. If they kill us, then we die earlier and we won't die of starvation. And it actually makes some sense. So the lepers arose and at twilight went to the Aramean camp. And there was no one there. Well, why was there no one there in this gigantic army that had been besieging the city for so long? And here's the amazing thing about this. The reason there was nobody there was because the Lord had caused the army of the Arameans to hear a sound of chariots and the sound of horses and even the sound of a great army. Sometimes people will describe this type of thing as being a miracle. And I understand where it is. From our perspective, it is God doing something outside of the normal boundaries that he created with all of creation. But in God's eyes, this was not a miracle. This is God simply being God. He caused them to hear a sound of a mighty army. And I suspect that the Lord does the same thing today. They thought that the king of Israel had snuck somebody out and hired the Hittites and the Egyptians, the two major armies of the day, the north and the south, to come and do battle for him. And so the Arameans fled. They left their tents, they left the horses, they left donkeys, they left their camp. And we see later on that they were even shedding their clothes and supplies as they were running away. Well, the lepers that entered in, they ate, they drank, and then they noticed that silver and gold and clothes, so they carried those off and hid them. They came back and they did it again. But then they went, we are not doing right. And I love this because so often with these accounts, you see that the ones that should have known what to do as far as right and wrong would not do it. But you'll see the lepers, you'll see the servants, you'll see folks like that who will speak forth the truth. And so they were the rejected ones, but they knew what the right was. So they went back and they told the king's household. And they explained it to the gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper went and told the king's folks. Well, the king suspected a trap. I don't doubt him at all. He thought, well, they're trying to set us up, trying to get us to come out. Well, the servant suggested, again, it was a servant. And he said, please, let some of the men take 5 of the horses which remain and go out there and check out and see what's going on. And there's some interesting things right here. In the time of this tremendous famine, the king still had his horses available. The King James Version, which I'm not going to get into right now, but that translation really leads to some interesting connotations here. So anyway, the king approved 2 chariots for the horses and said, go out and see. And they went out and found that the words of the lepers were true, even as the man of God had said, as the Lord had said. Now, you remember what we saw in our earlier video about that royal officer who doubted this and who said, well, even if the windows of heaven were open, there's no way that this could happen. Well, he got trampled at the gate as the people rushed out for the food. Literally, what the word of the prophet had said to him came true. Behold, you will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat of it. So here's the truth for us today. We need to trust in the Lord. The Lord is in charge of today and tomorrow. Perhaps tomorrow will bring a change if you need a change. And if there's provision, perhaps it will come tomorrow. But listen to the word of the Lord and don't doubt the word of the Lord. And don't be surprised in the way that he may work it out. He may work it out through some lepers. He may work it out in the way that we might rebuff and be fearful of. And remember this overall, that the battle is the Lord's. And let's trust in him, okay? Again, I'm Dale, and I thank you for being with me. And I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.